Hey everybody, my name is Patrick. I'm with Trident Beverage and I'm going to show you how to take apart the Carpigiani Sencotel machine today. We also have a machine called a Carpigiani FSM or GBG unit that is basically the same parts configuration. It's just some aesthetic differences. The front panel is flat, but many of the parts look the same and work the same. So you can follow this video for how to take apart and clean and troubleshoot that machine as well. So as far as cleaning the machine goes, we recommend that you clean the machine once a week or once every other week. As long as you're not using any dairy in the machine, should be fine to do that, as long as you keep the product on chill or keep it frozen overnight. The first thing you want to do when you go to clean the machine is to drain any product that you have out and set it aside. And what I like to do is anytime you clean it, pour a little water through the bowl to help get any additional residue off the inside of the bowl there, and that'll make it a lot easier when you go to take the bowl off. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to disassemble the tap. This tap pin slides out just as such, and the handle comes off. The spring cap comes off, spring comes out, and the tap piston pushes right out the bottom. And you'll notice that there's a seal on the bottom and a O-ring here. In some of the newer models, this piece is one piece, and so we'll show you how to clean that and lubricate that in just a second. So we're going to set those aside. The bowl itself, you're going to lift up and pull out, and the bowl comes off. And any of these parts, when you go to clean them, just use warm soapy water. If you have like a 3-part sink that you've got wash, disinfect, and rinse, that works well too. We don't want you to put them in the dishwasher if you can help it, because what will happen is sometimes the dishwasher gets so hot that it'll actually deform the plastic. This auger slides off just like that, and there's a seal that goes on the inside of the auger. It's called a watertight shaft seal. We're going to set that aside. And then the last part that comes off is the rear seal. And this part slides off just like that. The flat is the back, and it's got ridges on it that help lock the bowl on. And so once you get to this point, just all of the various parts that we took off, we're going to use soap and warm water for those. And then as far as this part of the machine, take a nice soapy rag and just clean up in the crevices and try and get it as good as you can, so that you don't get any mold or anything like that forming. There is another part here too that you don't have to take apart every time you clean it, but it's good to know that it's there. And this is it's called an evaporator cap, and it slides out off of the seal here. And this part needs to be changed out once or twice a year. If you have product that's leaking or dripping out of the condensation tray, or if you've got product that's coming out of the back of the machine, usually it's going to be this watertight shaft seal that the O-rings have gone bad, or it's just gotten worn out. And we can send you those, no problem. Just let us know. So this piece, if you ever have to replace it, it just pops out and then slides right back in. You don't want to put any type of lubrication on that piece, just slide it right back in. So after you've washed all the various parts that we took off, and you've got the machine looking great, nice and clean, you're going to put it back together. The first thing you're going to do is put the rear seal on. Once again, the flat part goes up against the back of the machine, and just get it on the bottom and just work it around with your hands. You want a nice tight seal there, And it's also important to make sure that this seal gets on there all the way, and that it's not, part of it hanging off. Because if this seal isn't on all the way, and you go to pour product in, product's probably going to come running out everywhere, and it's not going to be a fun thing to have to clean up. So you definitely want to make sure the rear seal is all the way on, and it's a nice snug seal. The next part is your auger and your watertight shaft joint, and there's 3 places on this machine that you want to lubricate it. We're going to take some of our food service grade lubricant, and the first place that we want to lubricate this is right there on the shaft. And this auger is spinning the whole time that it's in the machine, so it needs to be lubricated. So make sure your watertight shaft seal goes in the auger, and put it on and give it a nice turn until it clicks into place. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your clean bowl. The second place that you want to lubricate it is right around the back side, and it doesn't take much. It just takes a little bit of lubricant, and then that'll help that bowl fit onto your rear seal nice and smooth. So you're going to push the bowl on. You may actually have to lift up on the auger just a little bit on some of the older models, but just push it on until it locks into place. It's very important that the bowl locks into place. If it's sitting up a little bit like that, and you go to pour product in once again, it's probably going to come out on you. So make sure that that's completely locked into place. The third place that you want to lubricate is around the O-rings and the tap seals here. While you're lubricating this part, check to see if there are any chips or if there's anything that doesn't look quite right. Probably the number one service call that we get is for leaking machines, and a lot of times this part will get a little, get worn or get a little chip in it. It's very easy to replace. Some of the newer ones have one piece. This particular unit has an O-ring here that slides off, and then it's called a piston special gasket, or we call them stoppers, and they just pop out the bottom. So you want to lubricate this piece every single time you clean it. It's very important, because every time that someone goes to dispense product, you want it to be a smooth transition. So we're going to put lubricant around both the top and the bottom seal, and on the newer models where there's one piece, you want to get both of the lips. It's a double lip piece. Get both of the lips nice and lubricated. Make sure your hole is facing outward, and you're going to push it up from the bottom, just like that. The next part is your spring. Your spring cap goes on top. And the base of the handle goes in the hole on the piston. So you want to push down on your spring cap, and your tap fastener, or your pin, handle pin as we call it, goes in the round holes, just like that. So it's important that when you lubricate it, you notice that it pops back into place. If you don't lubricate that, when you pull that handle, it's going to get stuck, and your customers are going to have product running everywhere, and they're not going to be happy. So at this point, the machine is back together. We can, if it's Friday and we're not going to be using it over the weekend, we can leave it off, and then when we come back in Monday morning, we'll be ready to go and ready to pour product back in it. A couple of other side notes about this particular machine. Your drip trays here, sometimes these come in different shapes and sizes, but essentially these don't go to a drain line. They have to be emptied once or twice a day. If you're in a real hot cafeteria or restaurant setting, You may get more condensation build up on the machine, and they'll have to be emptied more often. Definitely want to empty these before you go home at night, so that you don't come back in with them overflowing. And then just go back on just like that. One other thing about this machine is your timer. On this particular unit, all the pins have to be facing outward for it to freeze. So make sure that's the case. Sometimes if a machine is it's getting cold but it's not freezing, you just want to check that timer to make sure that it's the pins are in the correct position. This machine also has a thickness setting that you can adjust to make the product thicker if you want. You just turn the knob where 1 is the thin or runnier product once it's frozen. 4 is going to be the thicker version of the product. If you have, some of them require a screwdriver, and you're just going to turn it. Usually it's clockwise for thinner and counterclockwise for thicker. Some of these machines will have an air filter on the side. It's important to check and make sure that's clean. If the machine's running hot, a lot of times you'll have dust build up on the side. Sometimes it can just be washed out if the filter is removable. If not, call us. We'll come in and we'll clean the condenser for you. And on this particular machine, if you have, if you need to lock it, the padlocks, which we can get for you, go in the top and they'll lock the lid. And then we also have locking bars that go through the bottom holes there as such, and keep the product from being dispensed. So that's it as far as the Carpigiani, Sencotel, FSM, and GBG machines. If you have any questions, you can reach us at 800-890-0455. Go to www.tridentbeverage.com for all your product needs, and we look forward to working with you. Thanks and have a great day.